Most people can name the big turning points in history: 1492, 1776, 1914, 1945, but there's one year that almost nobody talks about, yet it quietly shaped the entire future of Europe. Today, we're going back to 988. No, 987, a year that historians consider far more important than it looks. This is why 987 may be one of the most important years in all of human history, and why you've probably never heard of it. To understand 987, we need to understand what Europe looked like before it. The mighty empire of Charlemagne had collapsed, kings were weak, nobles were powerful, Vikings had raided for over a century, and France, or what would become France, was a political mess. The royal dynasty, the Carolingians, had been declining for generations. By the late 900s, the king was king in name only, a symbolic figure more than a ruler. So when the young King Louis XI died unexpectedly in 987, with no heirs, the future of the entire region was suddenly wide open. Europe faced a choice. Should the nobles continue the ancient Carolingian dynasty? The only surviving member was Charles of Lorraine, but he was unpopular, politically weak, and suspected of collaborating with the Holy Roman Empire. So the nobles made a radical decision. They elected a new king, someone powerful enough to lead, but not powerful enough to threaten them. They chose Hugh Capet, the Duke of the Franks, and on 3rd July 987, he was crowned King of the Franks. This is where 987 becomes huge, because Hugh Capet didn't just become king, he created something entirely new: the Capetian dynasty. This dynasty would rule France, continuously produce branches like the Bourbons and Valois rule Spain, Portugal, Luxembourg, Sicily, Naples, and even Brazil, shape European politics for nearly a millennium. Almost every major royal house in Europe today traces its origins or legitimacy back to this moment. 987 wasn't just a change of kings, it was the birth of a political system that would define Europe. When Hugh Capet took the throne, France barely existed. The king controlled a tiny patch of land around Paris. Everything else was run by powerful local lords. But the Capetians introduced something revolutionary: hereditary, stable, predictable succession. Each Capetian king arranged to have his son crowned during his own lifetime. This eliminated the chaos of medieval elections and rebellions. France slowly became centralized, powerful, and unified. Without 987, France might never have become a medieval superpower, the heart of European culture, the birthplace of the Enlightenment, and a major world player for centuries. 987 is the spark that created the France we know today. "987 didn't happen in isolation. Across the world, major shifts were happening too. In the Holy Roman Empire, a child emperor, Otto III, was struggling to control rebellious nobles. In England, King Ethelred the Unready was facing increasingly brutal Viking attacks that would soon overwhelm the kingdom. In Al-Andalus, the powerful ruler Almanzor was waging successful campaigns against Christian northern Spain, shaping Iberian politics. In the Byzantine Empire, Emperor Basil II was fighting a major aristocratic rebellion. And in China, the Song dynasty, the most advanced civilization of the time, was entering a golden age of innovation. 987 sits right at the crossroads of global medieval transformation. So, if 987 was so important, why does almost no one talk about it? Because it wasn't dramatic. No massive battles, no empires collapsing overnight, no world-changing inventions. Instead, something subtler happened. A quiet political restructuring that changed the next 1,000 years. 987 is a perfect example of how history isn't always shaped by explosions. Sometimes it's shaped by quiet shifts that nobody notices at the time. So, why do historians call 987 one of the most important years ever? Because it marks the end of an old world, the beginning of a new political order, the birth of a dynasty that would shape Europe and the foundations of what we now call France, a dynasty that lasted longer than almost any other in human history, all beginning with one vote, in one year, that almost everyone forgot. If you liked this dive into forgotten history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell me which lost year I should cover next.